There's a certain kind of person, let's call them Zeno, who feels everything a little more deeply than the world expects them to. Zeno doesn't avoid people out of rudeness. Zeno avoids the noise, the unpredictability, the sheer weight of it all. And at the end of a long day, home isn't just four walls. It's the first exhale Zeno has taken in hours. Science has a name for this. Psychology has an explanation. And if you've ever felt quietly guilty for craving stillness over socializing, what you're about to hear might finally make you feel understood. And here's what most people never understand about Zeno. It's not that Zeno dislikes people, it's that Zeno feels people, deeply, completely, sometimes overwhelmingly. Elaine Aron's research on sensory processing sensitivity tells us that roughly 15 to 20% of the population is born with a nervous system that processes the world more thoroughly than others. Every conversation carries emotional weight. Every environment leaves an impression. Every interaction gets filed away, examined, and felt long after it's over. So when Zeno comes home and closes the door, that's not withdrawal, that's recovery. Neuroscience backs this up. Highly sensitive people show greater activation in the insula, the part of the brain responsible for awareness, empathy, and emotional processing. In simple terms, Zeno's brain is working harder than most, even in ordinary moments. A grocery run isn't just a grocery run. It's fluorescent lights, strangers' moods, unexpected sounds, and a dozen small decisions that quietly pile up. Home, then, becomes something deeply necessary. Not a hiding place, a processing space. A place where Zeno can finally slow down enough to catch up with everything already felt. And that need, that pull towards stillness, isn't weakness. According to psychology, it's one of the most sophisticated forms of self-awareness a person can have. But there's something else happening inside Zeno that the world rarely gives credit for. Solitude, for someone like Zeno, isn't empty. It's extraordinarily full. Psychologist Esther Buchholz, who spent decades studying the human need for alone time, argued that solitude isn't the opposite of connection. It's the foundation of it. When Zeno is alone, something quietly remarkable unfolds. Thoughts deepen. Creativity surfaces. Ideas that would never survive the noise of a crowd begin to breathe. Research published in the British Journal of Psychology found that individuals with higher sensitivity and intelligence often experience greater satisfaction in solitude than in social settings. Not because they don't value relationships, but because their inner world is genuinely rich enough to be its own kind of company. Zeno notices things others walk past. The particular stillness of a Sunday morning, the comfort of a familiar book, the way a single candle changes the entire feeling of a room. These aren't small things to Zeno. They are the texture of a life lived with intention. And while the world outside measures a good life by how full your calendar is, Zeno measures it differently, by how deeply each moment is actually felt. That's not isolation. That's a profoundly different and deeply valid way of being human. Now, it's important to pause here, because not every story of staying home is the same. For some, solitude is chosen freely, joyfully, and with genuine contentment. But for others, the walls of home carry a different kind of weight. Social anxiety, unprocessed grief, depression that whispers softly but persistently. These can quietly reshape a preference into a prison, and Zeno deserves to know the difference. Ask yourself honestly, does staying home leave you feeling restored, creative, and at peace? Or does it leave you feeling smaller, more fearful, more disconnected from a life you actually want? One is sanctuary, the other is shrinking, and you deserve far more than a life that slowly shrinks. For those who truly, genuinely love their home life, who have chosen stillness not out of fear, but out of deep self-knowledge, there is nothing to justify. Aron's research consistently shows that highly sensitive people thrive not when they force themselves to match the world's pace, but when they finally give themselves permission to live at their own. That permission is not selfishness. It is not weakness. It is not something Zeno needs to apologize for. It is, in every psychological sense of the word, the beginning of genuine well-being. And that matters more than any party Zeno will ever miss. So if you are Zeno, someone who has spent years wondering why the world feels louder for you than for everyone else, here is your answer. You were never broken. You were simply built for depth. And depth is one of the rarest gifts a person can carry. Own it. Tell me in the comments, what does your perfect evening at home look like?